Let the sun shine. 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 Let the sun shine.
Hey, hey, hey. What is happening over there in Philadelphia, IA?
Hey, Charlie Lewis, my brother from another mother.
I know. What is going on?
Oh my goodness, Charlie, how's it that we're working harder in the pandemic?
I know.
How's that a thing? But it is a thing. But it's a good thing.
Look, I'm not complaining at all. I'm very happy to be working. I'm happy that Hey, Leslie, how you doing? I am happy to be working during the pandemic because a lot of people are not. I am blessed and highly favored.
That is a blessing.
I will take it.
Me too.
Yes.
Work and health. That's a blessing. Work and health.
Yes.
With all of this going on, please. I'm okay with it.
I'm good. I know. We got a good show for y'all tonight. We are talking about what you guys are experiencing out there, better known as cabin fever, and how to manage it. And what you guys are doing, because I know it's funny because this thing is happening all over the country, and so it's very unique for certain people. Certain people are dealing with it in a different way than others. So tonight I have my guest, the one and only Dr. Argie Allen Wilson. She's a relationship therapist. She is our regular Tuesday night host of the show To Get Your Mind Right, because we believe in making sure that everybody has a self-care and self-awareness of what's going on. So we want to make sure that everybody can make it through this pandemic. And some people, need it more than others. And a lot of people out there are dealing with it in different stages, because in the Northeast, we are dealing with cabin fever a little bit different than what people are dealing with across the country. So, people in Atlanta, people down south, in the Midwest, they're like, hey, I want to get out my house. And I'm like, well, if I'm in New York and can stay in my apartment and I don't have a front yard, a backyard, a side yard, and you guys are in Houston and Atlanta and y'all got garden apartments, front yards, y'all doing drive-by birthday parties. Come on now. You can't stay in that big old house. Come on. What are y'all doing out there?
Agreed.
Come on.
Facts.
Yes. Those are facts. That's it. So, hey, Sasha. What's up, Cynthia? What's up, Leslie, Kristen, Monica, Cindy, and Pam? Thank you all for joining the show tonight. Just want to talk to everybody tonight. I'm pumped up because this is this is month 2 for me in captivity.
Captivity. Stop it.
No.
With the captivity. We are safe at home. We are not stuck at home. Did that Miss Helen Nurse tell you that she told her children that they're not stuck at home. They are safe at home. We are not in captivity.
No. I'm good with the captivity. I'm good.
Well, because you're an introvert for real, just like me.
I'm good. Nothing but hate you love here. Thank you guys for joining the show. But okay, so let's get into it. I think there are a lot of people, and it depends on where you are, and it depends on the data. And I think it's unique about what's happening right now, because what's happening right now, you have a lot of people who are, depending on where you live, like I said, in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, we've been on lockdown since probably like March, I would say 15th. So today is May 11th, May 12th.
Well, you were locked down before, because you were the week before. Remember when I was in New York doing the Today Show?
Right.
That week, I was there the 13th and the 16th, and you kept saying, too close, Argie, too close. Right. Those pictures are too close. So you were there, right. You were in lockdown the week before.
This is true, because that's right. I came from the Charter Day in Howard, and I needed a self-quarantine. So I got locked down before even the rest of New York got locked down. So I've been down for 2 months. To be honest with you, the way I look at it, I don't even think about going outside the house anymore. I just wake up in the morning and move from the bedroom to the living room to the bathroom, back to the bedroom and back in. So there are a lot of people are going through this right now. I can feel it by social media. I can see it by the reports. I can tell how people are really dealing with being stuck at home or safe at home, as we would say. But we need to get over that hump. And we're going to be in this for the long haul, because I already feel, you can see some of the governors are saying things are being pushed back until third, fourth quarter of this year, really fourth quarter of this year, starting in September and October. So I just want to talk about, we got Dr. Argie Allen Wilson, the relationship therapist tonight, and we're going to bring to you guys all the information about cabin fever, what's happening with cabin fever, how to stay sane in this deal, how also too the kids are dealing with still with this stuff and making this happen. So I want to welcome Morgan, Dr. Lloyd Williams. How you guys doing? Nadine, what's going on in Detroit? Hey, Natalie Stroud in Detroit. No, you're down in Tampa now. So welcome to the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. But we want you guys to stay safe. I think this is where I'm at with this. We got people in the Northeast been in for 2 months. People in the Southeast and the Midwest have been home for about half of that, almost 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So they're at a different point than where we are. New York and California, the numbers are going down, whereas the rest of the country, everything is starting to go up. So that being said, there are different, we are in different places on how we feel about being in the house all this time. Let's talk to the people tonight. I have you here because I don't want to talk. That's your job as the therapist, to kind of manage these people and show people through the symptoms, because there's several symptoms of realizing and being able to understand, from being irritable, from being restless. I'm getting a lot of emails at 3 o'clock in the morning of people saying, I'm up, who's up with me? People are feeling claustrophobic. I can only imagine. You can only feel that in New York apartments. I mean, come on. Feeling of depression, we talked about last week, fatigue, paranoia, feelings of being trapped. Those are the feelings. So if you are identified with any of those, you are suffering from cabin fever. So Dr. Argie, how do we manage that? How do we get past that? How do we work through it?
Well, I mean, thank you, Charlie. I mean, I feel like this is a great topic for right now when we're talking about cabin fever, or another term for it is quarantine fatigue. So we are fatigued just like anything else. Think about it, guys. We're on the front lines, many of us, of this war. Whether you are an essential worker, medical care professional, mental health care professional, or you're a grocery store worker or a pharmacist or gate agent or a truck driver, we're all on the front lines together. And so we've been riding this thing for a while. So you've got two camps. You got people who said, I did the right thing. I did what they told me to do. I got the mask. I got the Lysol wipes. I got all the TP, right? I quarantined myself and my family. And they said 2 weeks. And then they said 4 weeks. And they said, oh, psych, maybe a month. And then they said, oh, we don't even know when, and then the numbers kept going up and up and up. And so those persons who actually, Charlie, did what they felt was the right thing to protect themselves and their family, many of those people are saying, I've had enough.
Right.
I'm over this. I'm exhausted, because this new norm that we were thrust into happened overnight. One day we were living our lives. You were at Afrochella and at, Charter Day, right? Yep. I was on the beach in Boca with Morgan and Velva and Lily Jefferson from Philly, North Philly, and Jean Austin Jefferson. We were having a good time. New Year's, right? And then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, our lives got turned upside down. So you got folks that said, we did the darn thing. Now we're exhausted. And then you've got other folks that they didn't really do what they needed to do, but now they're actually seeing that the fallout of that, and they're getting scared and anxious. So you've got this anticipatory grief and anticipatory anxiety, which you and I talked about earlier. So the people who have actually accepted their new norm, there's 3 stages of that. And there was a study that I sent you where they talked about the exhibitionists and the adventurists. Those are people that go climb the Alps, they go skydiving, those kinds of things. And they usually say they're right on top of it when there's the early mission. They're excited about the mission. We can do this. Then when they get close to what they thought was going to be the end, like a marathon, and it's not the end because somebody says, psych, we're going to do this for, oh, by the way, we don't even know how long we're going to do this for. Then they get depressed and overwhelmed, and they anticipate, well, what's going to happen next? It's the fear of the unknown, fear of the uncertainty, a lot of worry. And then there are people, and these are the people that I'm really concerned about. The people say, oh, the hell with it. I'm over this. Let's just go out and party. I think that this was a big conspiracy theory anyway. It's all about a bunch of hype, because those are the people that are maybe going to go out, put themselves in harm's way, contract it, spread it, carry it to someone else, maybe someone that they love. And quite frankly, the price is way too high. So we have to, this is why this forum that you're having is so important, to have this conversation, to help people to think about, pause for a moment and ask yourself, even if you're tired, is it really worth it? Because the truth is, we've been able to socially distance, which actually is a privilege and an honor, right? It's a privilege to be able to socially distance, because some people live in third world countries, they can't, right? Well, some people live in the urban areas, they can't.
Well, speaking of that, the reason why New York cannot change, the reason why New York City will not be able to go back quickly, and this is what I realize about this pandemic. You definitely see the have and the have-nots. And the reason, because Cuomo will say there are 21 zip codes in New York City between the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens, that the numbers are not where they should be on his scale. He opened up He opened up 3 regions in New York. New York, if a lot of people don't know, New York is country. It's just like Georgia.
Yeah, upstate New York. Yes.
New York is country. It's just like Georgia. It's a big state. You got the Catskills, you got the western part of New York, you got Syracuse, Buffalo, all of that out there.
White Plains.
The Rust Belt and all of that. And then you got upstate. Then you got Albany, which is the capital. So you got 3 different regions that's opening up, but the city itself will not open up. The reason why the city cannot open up is because you have the workers who are on the front lines, who are immigrants, or who might be first generation here, that live in the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn, and they live 4, 5, 6 deep. That's why those neighborhoods were hit hard. And you really get to see the disparity in the city based on where people live, because you can't be a service worker and live in Manhattan. That's just not possible unless you're living in a lottery unit the city puts on and the rent is $600 and you happen to live like that. But that's the only way. So you do see that disparity. And so I don't know what's going to happen. There was a Nightline special with the Jewish community in Israel, in Tel Aviv, just like the Hasidic Jews here in Williamsburg, where that neighborhood got hit extremely hard because of just the way they practice their religion. It's the same way socialization is the same. But what they did, they took people out of their neighborhood and put them in other neighborhoods or put them in hotels, because people are not using hotels right now, to stop the spread and isolate them and trace them. So I don't know what Cuomo is going to do in order for us to get back to work, but we're not going anywhere until those zip codes bring that infection rate down. So
shout out to your governor, because he's awesome. He's an awesome leader.
I like what you said there. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Erica. Hey, Les, Kim, Yvonne. Thank y'all for joining the show. Elgin and Lisa and Shauna. We got Dr. Argie Allen. We're talking about basically how to manage cabin fever while you guys are at home. Some of y'all are on different we're in different levels. And like I'm at a level now where I have just breathed and relaxed and say, hey, I just take it one day at a time. And I just do what I need to do. I got so many projects going on in this crazy mind of mine that I can't even think anyway. So that's that. So let's talk to how do we move the needle forward when you are talking to people or when you see them, I want to start with that third point that you made, where people who say, screw this, I'm going out, I'm going to be reckless. How do you, and that tends to happen with parents who have teenagers or people back home from college. How do we reel them in?
Yeah, that's a hard one, right? You saw the case, I think it was in Chicago, where the 26-year-old had a party for two of his friends who had died due to gun violence, and his mother was an essential worker working 24 hours, a 24-hour shift. Didn't even know that her son had a party of over 100 people with no mask until the police knocked on her door the next day. So it's hard, and I do have clients that, you know, have families that are trying to reel them in. And so, you know what I'm going to say. You're going to have to, one, have a couple courageous conversations. The first one you as a parent have to have is with yourself. Because you have to ask yourself, is the risk worth it to not set a boundary with in many cases, it's a young adult that's already out there and should probably be on their own anyway. So is the risk, is it worth it to allow them to come back into my house and come and go as they please, putting me in harm's way? Because if they set the house on fire, right, then there would be a sense of urgency. We need to look at it from that perspective. Don't look at this from a passive perspective. This virus is hard. It is dangerous because we can't see it. So having that conversation with oneself first, if you have an ally, like you have a partner, I work with couples all the time that are trying to get on the same page. When they're not on the same page, it's a problem. So then whatever the guidelines are for the house, they must be enforced. So if your son or your girl, your daughter want to go see their boo, then maybe the guideline needs to be, then you need to stay there with your boo, right? if that wherever they're living, that's then where you need to quarantine and setting appropriate boundaries, because this thing is no joke. I was listening to TD Jakes this morning, and I don't know if you all saw his post on Sunday after Mother's Day. Shout out to all the mothers. He talked about his thoughts of self-quarantine, and he said he was tired of getting people screaming and crying and wailing on the phone because they say that they didn't understand how serious this was. And he said, is it worth it to then carry for the rest of your life some guilt that you could have potentially been the one to transfer this virus to your loved one, and you now survived because you were asymptomatic and they did not?
Wow.
So he said, think about that when the weather gets nice, because the weather to me is a weapon of mass distraction for us these days, right? That is what I'm concerned about, that it will lower us out into the elements. And the truth is, like you said, Charlie, persons like us, Morgan and I, who have a yard and a nice porch, you know, and some place that we can run around the house if we want and get the fresh air, we should have no complaints. There are many people out there that can actually social distance and get fresh air, but not put themselves in harm's way.
Right.
You know, not go to the park and because I think this is what happens too, Charlie. We create a narrative in our head that we buy into. So if the narrative in our head is that when we go to the beach or we go to the park, and because we put our little blanket down on this little square, that this virus is not going through the air as a person's running by you or what have you, we're going to be okay. You tell yourself that because you're bored or you're tired or you're fatigued. But we have to weigh what's more risky, being fatigued, and we can grow through that, and we'll talk about how to do that, or being dead.
Right. I think, you know, and I'm glad you brought that point up, because that's a great point in the sense of it comes down to personal responsibility. And the personal responsibility is how much of, when you look at yourself and you know that you're going back into an environment, it's one thing to live alone, you know, but it's another thing when you live with your parents, you live with your grandparents, you know, you want to go live with your grandparents. We are a society where people and family is important, and there are different cultures. It weighs. There's a spectrum there, you know. Like now in New York, what I see there's you know, New York is the have and have-nots, just point blank, period. A lot of Manhattanites have places upstate. have places in the Hamptons. They have the space to roam. They can do that. But then there are families who are in apartments in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem, Queens, that are 4, 5, 6 deep. They don't have that. They have to go to work. You know, they are on the front lines. Even if it's a, you know, and this conversation is not white collar, blue collar. It's just the bottom line of this is America today and where we are. So if you do, I love what you said. If the person needs to go and stay with the other person, then just go stay with the other person if you need to get out the house, but don't bring it back home because there are a lot of mothers there.
Boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries. I love that. Judy Lemon, thank you for joining the show. Hey, Velva, how are you? Louis Long, what's going on? Tuscan, how you doing out in California? Gloria, Carla, and Tasha, welcome to the show. What's up, Joanne McFarland? We have Dr. Argie Allen. We're talking about how to manage Wilson. Dr. Argie Allen Wilson. It's so hard for me.
Just say Dr. Argie.
No. It's so hard for me. I gotta confess. It's hard for me for my girlfriends that I know that got married, but that was single for a while. You know,
for a long time.
It's hard for me to just add that other person into the. No disrespect, Morgan.
You love Morgan. Morgan's lovable. You know,
I love Morgan.
It is hard. I forget sometimes myself in terms of the name, but after 5 years now, I'm used to it. But everybody else, I guess I did a good job branding.
Yeah, you did.
With the Argie Allen.
So let's talk about this quarantine fever. And you know, because a lot of people also too, at the same point in time, just as much as they are tired of being in the house, the lockdown aspect of being locked down and told what to do, the mentality, I think we are dealing with a mentality. Let's talk about that mentality that keeps you not wanting to adhere to rules. Because I think what really comes out of this is that it's not really we're doing this for the collective. It's really more of a selfish thing that people are dealing with. Where does that mentality come from? How does it stem in a pandemic? How do we get through that? How can we persevere as a country? Because I'm watching the news and what I think I'm seeing is that California, New York, numbers going down. Everywhere else, numbers going up. Everybody can't stay at home because some people do have to go to work. But those who really don't have to go to work and are having this selfish mentality, can we touch upon that just a tad?
Well, yeah. So, you know, Charlie, we've been very blessed, you know, despite the fact that this is still the yet to be United States of America, right? And we know that there are many injustices, and we're seeing it live and in color in terms of the health disparities and the inequities that are going on with testing in the urban communities. Yet, simultaneously, we recognize that this is the richest country in America, in the world. And we have lived, many of us, a life of privilege, access, excess, entitlement, doing what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it, right? And so that then brings about, in some ways, a very selfish, rugged individualism mentality. So that what I believe that this, if there's a silver lining in any of this, I believe that the silver lining is that we're getting a wake-up call, that we had gotten really dark, right, as a culture. And because of social media, we can be dark behind the screen. Right. We can hide like the little Wizard of Oz behind the curtain and say all these horrible things and treat people poorly and be bullies. That had become our norm. We also had gotten to the place where we didn't really hang out with the people that we say we love, the people that we vowed to be with for the rest of our lives, yet we spend the majority of our 8 to 10 hour awake time outside of the home with our coworkers and our friends. So this wake-up call has kind of hearkened us back to reality, and back to some basics, which I believe, to your question, some people are rebelling against because they're saying, I want to get back to my old norm. And what I'm saying to people, in practice is let's deconstruct that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's peel back the layers like the layers of an onion. And I really want people to be honest. Was your norm so wonderful? Was it? Because I see the other side of it as a therapist, right? Was it wonderful that you were working around the clock like a hamster on the wheel and you didn't get to experience that beautiful house that you paid a lot of money for that has 20 rooms and those 4 cars and all those pairs of shoes? Was life so wonderful for you that you spent more of your time with your friends in social media than the friends that you actually went through some stuff with, right? So this concept of like reevaluating, recalibrating, resetting our mindset, and then finding the learned places of it's 9 weeks in. What have we learned about ourselves? Do we have 3 things? Do we have discipline? Do we have determination? Do we have this? What's the other D? Discipline, determination, and give me a D.
Diligence.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. You know, I like the letters, right? Due diligence.
Due diligence. I don't know. Yeah, something.
Do we have that? Because that is what it requires. Because you got to commit.
Yes, we'll turn that D into an R. Resilience.
Resilience. Well, and here's the thing about resilience, though. I don't want us to get too caught up because we are resilient people. We know that already.
Yes, we are.
But resilience oftentimes can be masked. We can kind of have that as an overlay, and then we hide the mental health issues like anger, depression, fear, anxiety. Sometimes even borderline psychosis. We can hide that behind, we're just resilient, right? And we can get through everything. So therefore, it gives us license and permission not to talk about our pain. It gives us license and permission not to emote, not to show our emotion. And we just say, oh, we're just a resilient people. Well, we can be both and. We can be resilient and we can express our emotion. We can feel the discomfort of what this pandemic is doing so that we can start externalizing that pain in order to grow through it. That is what it requires for us to have that due diligence, if you will.
Right. Well, hey, you guys out there that's listening, you guys have questions for Dr. Argie tonight. Put them down in the comments because I think a lot of people are starting to feel a lot of different things. And I think one thing, the partisanship from our leadership is what's really creating the anxiety that we're dealing with. And so you see all of these different fractions breaking off to everything. So you see the fractions breaking off with, oh, give me my First Amendment right. I want my guns. Nobody's trying to come for your guns. Nobody's trying to do any of that. I want to go back to work. Yeah, we all want to go back to work. But at the same point in time, you realize that I think really, and I really love what you said, we are not dealing with our home. We're not dealing with the life that we chose to live.
Yes.
We are trying to run away from that life. Some people are doing better jobs than others. Some people are saying, you know what? I really enjoy this time with my kids. Some people are saying, I really enjoy this time with my wife or my husband. Others are like, I really don't like this person. I really had this person as a showpiece. You know, I believe in talking real talk, and I believe, and we know that there are people, and you see it every day. Hey, I bought this person because they look good on paper. So I married her, I married him, and now you're in a pandemic and you don't want to be with this person. And you're saying to yourself, why did I choose this person? It was good when we were running 100 miles per hour, but now the world stopped. So you have to think about that. So either dig deep and work with that person, or you need to talk about how you're going to exit that particular relationship. And I don't want to see anybody exit a relationship, but if you're in it for the wrong reason, then let's really talk about it. So, hey,
Charlie, one of the things I want to say is that a relationship is the extent of a healthy relationship is not how well we do when things are good. It's how well we do when things are bad. And if the foundation was shaky from the beginning, then a pandemic is only going to escalate the fractures that were already there and make them gaping holes. So then the work is now right, live and in color in front of you. Then you can, like you said, make a decision. Am I going to put the work in? Because we're going to have to roll up our sleeves, learn how to communicate, work on forgiveness, try to figure out where we do connect, focus on what we do have versus what we don't have. It's a lot of upfront work, but I say to people, you didn't get here overnight. The pandemic came, it seemed overnight, but that was in the works too. But you did not get to this place of dysfunction and fracture overnight. That was building. Both parties were probably culpable for it, right? Each person had a part to play in it. And now it's your job to figure out if you can do the work to move to a healthier place. It can happen. You could come out of this pandemic better and stronger than you were before, but it will require work.
Yes. And I'm happy for this pandemic in the sense, not happy for it. Wrong choice of word.
Wrong choice. That sounded better in your head. Re-rack.
The pandemic just showed up, and it just really showed people life and what it brings to us. So we got a couple of questions out there, and I love it. Okay, so from Jay said, I definitely appreciate this different normal in my life. That's what I was saying, Jay. Thank you for those words. It's been a huge opportunity for self-reflection and self-reconstruction. Love that.
Nice.
Monica said, thank you all for this. Are there specific strategies you can offer to manage the fatigue?
Yeah.
That's a good one. That is a
good one. So strategy, right? And I'm going to harken back to some of what I call a toolkit that I've been talking about from day one. So whatever, honor the fatigue. So label it. You need to name it if you're going to deal with it, right? We can't deal with things that we don't name. So if you're just exhausted, be able to say that. Have somebody who is an accountability partner that you can process with, because what we hold in makes us sick. What we externalize frees us, right? And then set up your plan, your POA. If you have to tweak it. But everyone should honor what I consider to be the 4 M's, right? And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you start out with mindfulness simply because setting your intentions for the day and being mindful allows us not to be too far in the future and too far in the past, right? It's where we are today, because we can only control that. And that's not all the way, right? Mm-hmm. Then meditation, which allows us to move forward and sort of resetting our mindset to move into a healthier place. Everybody should download one of those apps, or go on YouTube. They have free ones where you can listen to some mindfulness meditation. Movement, get moving. It not only sets your intentions, it changes the chemistry in your brain so that you can develop the endorphins and the serotonin and the dopamine that keeps you moving, which helps with the fatigue. Then the meaningful engagement. Whoever that is that has positive energy, you need to partner with them, because I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't be available to people with negative energy or people who are anxious or whatever, but the persons that make you more anxious after you've talked to them. Have one person a day that can calm you, or some kind of meaningful engagement, even if it's a meme or something funny that you've watched, do that. And then music is healing. Those 5 M's can kind of help you with that fatigue, right? And then find a hobby, something that you thought you used to do, you don't do anymore. You wanted to do and you never had time to do. Double down on learning something new that can give you some bandwidth and some energy, sort of set the atmosphere and give you a little bit of a spark, whatever that is. I'm going to garden and go biking. Those are my 2 things. Morgan and I don't think Morgan's going to do gardening, but he's going to go biking.
You can have him out there with that garden, digging in, with a hole or something. He's going
to help me in some ways.
Put him to work.
I don't think that garden's his thing, but you understand, find something that you like to do. And by the way, for those people who have never done therapy, they've never processed, Heart Charlie, I think that everybody needs to have a therapist on speed dial. Somebody that's objective, that doesn't know you, that can process with you how you're feeling, and then give you some additional tools for you to grow through this. Because if your mindset is that this is short term, you've already lost. because we're 9 weeks in and there's no end in sight. So we have to reset our mindset for the marathon so we can start accepting that new norm and get excited about some of that stuff. So those are things I think people could do.
I think that's the biggest, you hit it right on the head. That's the biggest thing right there of resetting the mindset. Look, I already know how the world works, and you can see how the supply chain of the world is all in disarray right now. This is not an American problem. This is a world problem. It's a global problem. So the bottom line is everything that we used to do is not going to ever be normal. So all these people say we're going to go back to normalcy. There is no normalcy. All the restaurants that you want to go back to are going to go out of business. Some will be able to hold on. A lot of them won't be able to hold on. And it's just the longer we go through this, the longer things are going to change. And when you accept it, then I think that's half the problem. It was just like trying to tell people who were traveling, I want to make plans. I want to go to Mexico. I remember when it first started. And I'm putting Lucinda on blast because she was like, we're going to DR in May. Don't cancel. Because I said, we're going to cancel. Don't cancel. Don't cancel. I already knew.
Just trying to keep hope alive. But that's how we get in trouble, right?
Right.
We're not being able to accept our reality. Don't allow your perception to screw up your reality. Right. Your perception is one thing. Reality is another. Reality is based on facts.
Right. And facts, from good common sense. If you got common sense, use it. Don't look at these knuckleheads out here trying to tell you, oh, it's okay to go to the nail salon. Oh, it's okay to get your hair done. Oh, didn't you save money by not going to the nail salon? Didn't you save money by not going to get your hair done? Didn't you learn that you love
do it yourself? DIY?
Yeah.
My mother who used to say common sense is not so common anymore.
This is true.
So the acceptance is key, Charlie. Another thing I want your listeners to understand is once you accept, then you adjust, right? You make some adjustments, right? In order to begin the process of evolving to your new norm. Then you adapt, which is then you come up with the strategies, the techniques, the innovative ideas. You start realizing that you're starting to do things that you never did before, because now you have time to think and to process. There's a clearing. So when you start adapting, now you're moving. The next A is appreciation. You look back 4 weeks ago, even 8 weeks ago, and see how far you've come from fear to learning to growth, as we talked about in one of your shows. So then it's appreciation. That moves us to acknowledging our new attitude, right? An attitude of gratitude. You can be like, whew, 9 weeks and I'm still here and I'm still healthy and I'm still safe and everybody I know is okay. And even those persons that are not okay, we're praying. So there's a different way of thinking, and it's all in your mind. What you think is what you ultimately believe, and what you believe, you ultimately do. So we got to retrain our brain to think differently about this so that we not only survive this, but that we thrive. That can happen.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. Well, we got a lot of questions, so I want to get to them. Nadine in Detroit. Hey, Nadine, what's happening?
Hey,
yes,
Nadine.
we live too well and take it up for granted. I think the wake-up call is that folks were unhappy prior to this pandemic, and now they're really suffering right now. Seriously, yes. I see so much on Facebook. Yes, I'm with you. Yes. Leslie, this experience for many is lifting the veil. You can no longer hide from yourself. Do the work. 100%. People are.
Yes, Leslie.
Yes, people are, Morgan. People are assessing and reevaluating all areas of their lives. I believe that 100%. Sham, hey, I've been to green thumb. Morgan said he got a green thumb.
Morgan, stop lying. You don't.
I love it. No,
I don't have no green thumb.
Okay. What's up, Megan? How you doing? What's up, Sid? How you doing over there in the Upper West Side? This thing really has impact all areas of human activity, health, economics, politics, etc., for years to come. What's up, Mark and Melanie? Yes, it has, and I think the real evaluation is a self-evaluation, and you have to say to yourself, you know what? Am I all right with this, or am I losing it? And you gotta know, and like you say, align yourself with people who are positive thinkers, not Debbie Downers, or not negative Nancy, Nancy Neck, or whatever that little phrase is.
Who's Debbie and Nancy? I don't know why they even.
Debbie and Nancy, you know Debbie and Nancy. Here you go, Debbie and Nancy in them.
And them.
But I love that. I love the 5 M's: mindfulness, meditation, movement, meaningful
engagement,
and music. And then your 5 A's: acceptance, adjustment, adapting, appreciating, and acknowledging. And when you do those things, you will have a better appreciation for what we're going through and what we're experiencing. And I love the fact that I've been through all those stages. You know, I love Saturday music. For me, music is life. Y'all know that. Y'all follow me. Y'all know I love some good house music. Y'all know I love a good DJ. It just puts me in a great mood. The verse competition between Erykah Badu and Jill Scott was a whole mood in itself, which led me to listen to music to 3 o'clock in the morning, which is something I hadn't done in a long time. One thing I will say for the viewers out there, get away from the television. I don't even turn that television on anymore. I might turn it on at night. I don't even watch Ozark and all the things that people are doing on Netflix.
We started watching Ozark. I'm a little hooked on that. I will binge on that a little bit, and I don't watch a lot of TV. So
but I don't do the news because I can get the news. And like I said, stay away from the death count and start talking about that stuff. Stay away from the black men in the videos and getting beat and stuff of that nature. You have to realize this stuff is playing with your psyche, and the more negative stuff that you get, the more you're gonna feel.
Right. Good hygiene, good sleep hygiene is really important. Keep the gadgets out of the bed, Charlie. TD Jakes talked about your immune system, building up your immune system both internally and externally, right? So whatever you're taking, your elderberry or your zinc or your apple cider vinegar, or whatever, that physiologically eating well and hydrating, and then mentally journaling. That can be helpful. Again, a lot of people don't journal, but journaling externalizes the crazy messages that we sometimes have in our head that we can't quite figure out. But once you actually journal it and write it, you're literally writing it out so that you can fully understand what you're feeling and what you're thinking, right? And then you can see how far you've grown. So I tell people, have 2 journals. Have your process journal and have your gratitude journal. You need 2.
I like that.
Process journal is processing everything that's going on. Your gratitude journal should be written in every single day, because if you woke up, guess what? You got something to be grateful for. You at least have one thing to be grateful for, if not many, because when we look at our circumstances, even if you have a roof over your head, some people do not.
It's true. Amen.
Some people do not.
You do. You're right. I love that. Gratitude journal.
And a process journal.
Gratitude process. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hello, Miss Baker. How are you out there tonight? Miss Ebanks, she said, there are many people who are completely alone with no partner, kids, or parents. What advice do you give them?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I have a lot of clients that are living alone, and they are sometimes even estranged from their family members. And so that's a tough one, right? So one used to say that you can be alone, but not lonely. But in social distancing or physical distancing, it really can be difficult, right? So you have to find innovative ways to connect. There are a lot of classes that are happening. There are free online engagements that are taking place. This, like in 1918, during the Spanish flu, there was no social media. So quarantine was really quarantine. Social distancing was social isolation, but it doesn't have to be that way. So if you have Wi-Fi, connect with the people that you can connect with, but also build a relationship with oneself. Too often, to be honest with you, many of us spend so much time, and you said it earlier, running away from our homes, from our families, from our lives, from our work places. We're running from ourselves. This is now a time to reconnect and be exploratory, right? In this time, because this too shall end, right? This too shall pass. There will be an end date to this. Maybe no time soon, It's a marathon, not a sprint. But when it does, where do you want to be? What is it that you want to do in this time? Because we don't know when this will happen again. We hope not anytime soon, where there's a pause put on life, right? We're breathing, but we're in pause. So use it as an opportunity to grow. And again, seek therapy. If that is a way for you to process what's going on and you don't have those connections with friendships or family, then seek professional support.
I think that's key. But I think also too, along this process is the time to understand, you know what, you're not in this alone. This is the first time you can calm down and everybody else around you is at the same
Have to calm down too.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not like you got to do, so you're like, it's like, go to your room and think, like go to your room,
I send myself to my room on a regular basis.
Right. Everybody is going to being sent to the room, but everybody don't like themselves in the room.
Well, that's the work.
That is
the work to say, well, and now this is reflection. Where have I been? Right. Because I do a lot of grief therapy, and I work with people around end of life. I work with families. I've worked with some very tragic scenarios with suicide or what have you. And one thing I've learned about people, if you have the opportunity to know that you are transitioning, and I've had the privilege of being able to be with my relatives as well as others in their transitional state. Very few people say, I wish I would have worked more.
Right.
At the end of their life. They say, I wish I had to spend more time with my family. They say, I wish I would have learned more about myself. I wish, there people do have some regrets about the ways in which they've lived their life, but very few people want to work for it. Maybe they wanted more money. So now you don't have to get to the end of your life. Right here, right now, you can evaluate what is it that you still have, what is it that you've done, celebrate that. What is it that you've yet to do? Get to work on unpacking the pathway forward to get to the place that you want to be, so that you can move forward post this pandemic, better, not bitter, and moving towards the life that you are deserving of and that you desire. Because we're not here to live a life of lack anyway. We were really put on this earth to live a life of abundance, abundant joy, abundant love, abundant peace, abundant contentment. That is all available to us. But these structures have been set up to paint a picture that we're not worthy of that. And we buy the hype, it's an externalized message that then becomes an internalized message. And then we don't need anybody to hate on us for our color or our race or our sexual orientation or our religion. We don't need that, because now we've got the stinking thinking in our own heads. That is the work, right? Not to focus on the world outside, to focus on our world on the inside.
All right, you preaching tonight, Dr. Argie.
It's called lack of sleep.
Yes. But you know what? It's real talk, because America is a country of abundance, but it should be abundance of joy and all the things that you just stated. And it's amazing. You can leave here and go to Brazil, and it'll be a third world, and people up in the favelas, and you go up in the favelas and people are happy and they are living their lives like it. And you're like, well, you ain't got nothing. This tin, a roof, and this piece of shingle, and they just living and loving life. And you're like,
that's what I experienced in Kenya. It was the same experience. I was like, you come back changed, because you're like, how do we have all of this and we're miserable? And they have lack in these material things, but they have abundance in all this stuff that we are deserving of, that's free.
Right. And it's all about being internalized. And like you said, you got to deal with that internalization of people mocking you because you were too dark, or you were light skinned, or you were fat, or you were skinny, or whatever the case may be, or you were gay, or whatever the case. You got to get rid of that. You got to understand there's somebody that loves you for you, and keep moving, and don't worry about that. All right, Pam Roberts, Dr. Argie Allen, we got a couple of more minutes here with Dr. Argie Allen Wilson.
Boy, he's gonna get you.
Pam says, I like writing good tips in one notebook, regularly skimming through, serve as daily reminders. Nice, Pam. Tuckton said she just watched Becoming with Michelle Obama.
Oh, I watched that the other night too. That was good.
Yep. Journalizing. Everybody is loving that with the journal, not estranged, but alone and not lonely. Christian said that. Not estranged, but alone, but not lonely. And I agree with that. I'm alone. I'm not lonely. Trust me. I ain't alone. Here you go. I grew up. I got 5 sisters. And I grew up at the end. So I grew up by myself anyway, playing by myself anyway. So I feel like I'm back in Statesboro, Georgia. So Jay said also most of what we are engaging in was typically out of convenience, including our interaction with others. Some will be moving forward with us, and unfortunately, some will not. True to that. That's true to that. What's up, Helen Nurse? Michael Robb, how you doing? Leslie, we've been running at an artificial pace, and we're discovering that wasn't sustainable. I love that. I plan to adopt a habit of taking siestas every day. Self-care is everything.
Self-care is everything.
Prioritize. I love that. Late, but you're here. Hey, Chandra. Yes, you are late. You are an hour late almost, but you're here. I love the conversation. I love the 5 M's. I love the 5 A's, the mindfulness, meditation, movement, finding meaning, and listening to music, whatever soothes you to make it work. And then the 5 A's, acceptance, accepting where we are today, adjusting your lifestyle to be within what we are doing today, adapting to the new reality that you can't go and hug and be in groups and go to the bar and sit up at the restaurant and spend all your money. Appreciate this time that you have right now with the ones that, if you are with someone, appreciate this time. Don't be mad and don't be upset. Look at it from 2 different prisms. Look at the way they're looking at you and the way you're looking at them. But also to appreciate, even if you're by yourself, appreciate that time. Because some people are alone. They might not be lonely, but they wish they had others. But then also they're the ones like myself. I'm like, I'm glad I ain't sharing a house right now with anybody. And then acknowledging, and I think that is what's so important. The acknowledgement of acknowledging
of your attitude. Your attitude.
Yes.
Like 6 days, but it makes sense to me in my own head.
Totally. So any parting words that you want to leave with our good old people out there tonight? Because I think we hit them over the head. Oh, and one other thing, could live forever. This is good work and real food for the souls. Thank you, Leslie, for that. And they go to the good old New York Sirens.
They remind you that there's still essential workers out there. Shout out to all those people that are really putting themselves on the front line. Here in Philly, we have the COVID, Black Doctors COVID Consortium. It's headed by Dr. Ayla Stanford, who is actually hitting the ground every other day, going to hot spots to test because they're not testing black and brown people in Philadelphia. So
the biggest, I think, and you can see why San Francisco and New York are so impactful. A lot of people don't know this, but back during the AIDS epidemic, San Francisco and New York was hit hard, and their health departments went block by block in those cities to track and to trace exactly where things were going. So we are benefiting, these 2 cities are benefiting because of what happened 30 years ago.
Right.
And 40 years ago, basically 35 years ago, basically. And that's why you see the numbers are going down, and that's why they know exactly where things are based on zip code and what things are happening. So I definitely want to challenge everybody to, if you don't have a therapist, like Dr. Argie said, find one, have it on repeat, know how to meditate, how to, just calm yourself. Don't listen to television. That's my biggest thing. Once I cut that noise out, it made a life of difference of everything. And work on your projects. Work on everything that you wanted to do in life. and everything that you wanted to do, to better improve yourself. So take those classes, those master classes, those classes, those tours of moving, podcasts, just learn about yourself and want to, improve yourself. Come out of this a better person.
Yes. Yes.
That's all I got.
Come out better, not bitter. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. And stay home, right? Stay home. Don't just allow people to influence you to go out just because they go, oh, girl, you can do that. No, make good choices for yourself. The decisions you make today will impact your whole life tomorrow. Make good choices.
All right. And on that note, we're going to leave you guys. And until tomorrow, I will be at 12 o'clock, my Lunch and Learn with Jay Norris. And we're going to talk about his business, Guest Software, which is a unique platform. Also, too, I'm running for...
Oh, vote. You got to vote.
Listen, you guys got to vote. I'm an HU alumni. HU. So make sure you pay your dues so you can vote. I got a big platform. I'm gonna talk about that one night, about what it is that I want to do, of course, for Howard and keeping that engine running, because a lot of colleges are gonna feel the brunt of this pandemic. And so we're gonna have to be on the front lines to protect those, especially those HBCUs. So definitely really need that.
Morgan said, tell him.
Morgan says, of course, I got Morgan. I got you. Dr. Argie Allen, drargieconnects.com. The book is Courageous Conversations, Pathway and Reset Your Mindset. So we definitely know that. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Argie.
drargieconnects.com. They can get that. That's where they can.
Yeah, I'm going to have all that on my show.
Okay. Yeah, I know you got it on there anyway.
I got you.
I love you. It's always good talking to you.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Let the sun shine. 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 Let the sun